sections 4.3 and 4.4 are adding, subtracting, multiplying decimals. Again, tomorrow we'll delve into dividing. Not so much that it's really that hard. There are certain things that are unique to dividing. So, add, subtract, multiply, and solve a few word problems associated with them. Again, we're always going to be practicing putting them in practice. It's not like you're going to go to a grocery store with a sign that says, add these two numbers up. You're always going to be putting them into practice. All right. So let's start with adding and subtracting, which the plus side, adding and subtracting follow this exact same rules. So for adding and subtracting, you write the numbers in columns with the decimal points lined up. So in the case of problem A, 17.23 plus 56.94, you line them up so that the decimals are right on top of each other. So the decimals should be right on top of each other. And then once you do that, you just add it the way that you normally would. You add it exactly the way you normally would. So 3 plus 4, 7. 2 plus 9, 11. 1 plus 7 is 8. Plus 6, 4. 14. Carry that 1. 1 plus 1, 2. Plus 5, 7. The only thing you have to remember to do is bring the decimal back down. That's done. Done. Problem's over. Questions, part A. All right. Part B works the same way. So again, you line up the decimals. So notice in part A, every number, everything had a number on top of each other. The numbers were on top of each other. Notice that in part B, 6 and 0 are on top of each other, 5 and 7 are on top of each other, but 2 doesn't have a number above it. So, when you are adding or subtracting, if a number doesn't have a number on top of it or below it, fill it in with a 0. Fill it in with a 0. You want every number to have something either on top of it or below it. But once you do that, you can go back to adding and subtracting the way you normally would. So 0 plus 2, 2. 5 plus 7 is 12. Bring down the 2, carry the 1. 1 plus 6, 7. 7 plus 0, still 7. So that's it for adding. Any questions, parts A and B? Alright, not seeing something popping in the chat. I'm just make sure there's anything. Okay, Christian, I'll check on that in a little bit. So, not seeing there any, hearing any. Let's subtract. So, find the difference. 49.68 minus 13.85. So one thing I did notice on the unit test, some of you have forgotten what some of the keywords are for adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. So the four fundamentals, remember, if you're adding numbers together, that is a sum. If you're subtracting, that is a difference. If you are multiplying, that is a product. And if you are dividing, that is a quotient. So if it tells you find the difference of these two numbers, that's the key to a clue word that you're subtracting. But subtraction, you're still following the same rules and steps. Take the two numbers, line them up. Line them up according to the decimal point. Then you go ahead and subtract. Subtract the way you normally would. So 8 minus 5, 3. You can't take 8 from 6, so you got to borrow. The 9 becomes an 8. 6 becomes a 16. 16 minus 8 is 8. 8 minus 3 is 5. 4 minus 1 is 3. So there's your difference. Any questions? Part C. Right. Part D. What do you notice is different about Part D? What do you notice is different? That's a whole number this time. So, whole numbers ain't special, especially when it comes to a decimal. So, 27 means the same thing as 27.0 or 27.00 or 27.000. So, why would I rewrite it like that? Because remember, every number still has to have something on top of it and below it. So if you wrote this out, this would be 27 minus 14.83. So you need three things. You need a decimal point, and you need some zeros. So put in the decimal point, and put in a couple zeros. So you definitely need those when you subtract. When you're adding, you can get away with not doing it. Maybe not all the time. But with subtraction, if you don't put it, you're guaranteed to get that problem wrong. It's a little step, but it makes a big difference. But now we're set up to go ahead and to subtract. So now we can subtract. I can't take 3 from 0, so you got to borrow. But you can't borrow from 0. So you got to go over to the 7. You got a 6. Change the 0 to 10. But remember that 0 at the end needed a number. So change the 10 to a 9 so that the digit at the end can become a 10. So remember, that's that situation in which you would have to shift over, borrow, and then go back and take care of everything. Just like we did with whole numbers. But now everything is set up and ready to go. 10 minus 3, 7. 9 minus 8, 1. 6 minus 4, 2. 2 minus 1, 1. Game, set, match. Any questions with subtraction? Good. I'll start with staring. Alright, let's do multiplying and then we'll take a break before we do the word problems. So, multiplying. So here's one key difference with multiplying. The decimals do not need to be lined up. Decimals do not need to be lined up here. All you simply want to do is multiply. So we have 5.46 times 9. So the first step, multiply the numbers as if they were whole numbers. So we're going to do 5.46 times 9. So we solve it out just like they were whole numbers. So 6 times 9 is 54. Bring down the 4, carry the 5. 9 times 4 is 36. Plus 5 is 41. Bring down the 1, carry the 4. 5 times 9 is 45. Plus 4 is 49. So the multiplying is done. Step 2. Find the total number of decimal places. So we need to figure out how many decimal places were there when we started the problem. So in 5.46, there were 2 decimal places. And the number 9 is no decimal places. DP means decimal places. So your total number of decimal places is 2. Well, Mr. Vogel, why does that matter? Here's why. Your answer needs the same number of decimal places that you had when you started the problem. You can't just eliminate the decimal. So however many decimal places you started with is what you finished with. So 4914, you need 2 decimal places. So you would put the decimal between the 9 and the 1. And there's your answer. Now, for most of you, you know how to do that. My main thing is to make sure that you know why. There we go. Steve, I didn't think you were here. Go ahead, buddy. So the reason why you find the number of decimal places is because that's how many decimal places that has to be in your answer. So you multiply the way you normally would, but when you finish the problem, how many decimal places you started with is how many you must end with. No problem. Any other questions, part A? Alright, part B. Parts B and C, and then we'll go ahead and take a break. Find the product of 5.13 and 7.4. So, product multiplication, so 5.13 times 7.4. Again, it does not matter if the decimal places are lined up. That's not important. Decimal places does not need to be lined up for multiplying. So let me actually give you a moment to start this problem yourself. 5.13 times 7.4. So if you did it correctly, you should get 37.962. 3 times 4 is 12. 1 times 4 is 4, plus 1, 5. 5 times 4, 20. So, we're moving over to the 7, so we put a placeholder, and we keep multiplying. 7 times 3 is 21. Oops. 1 times 7 is 7, plus 2 is 9. 7 times 5 is 35. So we finished all the multiplying. Now we add everything up. So 2, 6, 9, 7, 3. So we finished the multiplying. Any questions before we continue? So now we take care of our decimals. So 5.13 has 2 decimal places. 7.4 has 1 decimal place. That means your total number of decimal places is 3. 2 plus 1. So that means your answer must have 3 decimal places. 37.962. Any questions, part B? One more and then we'll take a break. 0.058 times 0.09. Now, some people will look to find how many decimal places that they have. That way they don't have to go back and do it later. So when you do it is completely up to you. So notice that first number has 3 decimal places, second number has 2 decimal places. So that means your answer must have 5 decimal places. So when you finish doing the multiplying, you need 5 numbers after decimal. So you at least know that in advance. So let's start multiplying. 0.058 times 0.09. Notice that whatever number has more digits, I'm putting at the top. So let's start multiplying. 8 times 9 is 72. Bring down the 2, carry the 7. 5 times 9 is 45. Plus 7 is 52. 0 times 9 is 0. Plus 5 is 5. 0 times 9 is 0. That's the first row. Move over to the 0. We start a new row. The beautiful part about that is anything times 0, 0. So 8 times 0, 5 times 0, 0 times 0, 0 times 0. So that row is done. Now it's easy. We're going over again. So now we put 2 placeholders. Everything is still 0, because anything times 0 is 0. 0 times 8, 0 times 5, 0 times 0, 0 times 0. So again, you have a lot of zeros only because you're multiplying by 0. And remember, your answer code has 5 decimal places. So figure out where you would have 5 numbers after decimal, and that's how you would write your answer. That's it. Thumbs up. Any questions before you take a quick 2-minute break? So go ahead and take a minute, read through the problem, and ask yourself, is it adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing, or a combination? All right, so at a track meet, the 4x100 boys relay team had the following times for each person. What is the total time for the relay team? So are we adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, or is this a combination? What are we doing for this problem? Are we going to solve it up? We definitely not leave it blank. Yeah, this is just a baseline adding problem. So you have 9.28 plus 9.56 plus 9.12 plus 10.07. So we're adding the 4 numbers together. Now, If you're good with adding, then by all means feel free to add them up all at once. Feel free to add them up all at once. So again, remember you want every number to have something above it and below it. Although, remember, as I said, adding is not as important for that to happen than subtracting. Subtracting, you definitely need to make sure you put the zeros. Adding, not so much. Let's add them up. So 8 and 6 is 14, plus 2 is 16, 7 is 23. 2 plus 2 is 4, 9, 10, so 10. 1 plus 9 is 10, plus 9, 19, plus 9, 28. 2 and 1, so 38.03 seconds. So, I don't run track, and I've never ran a 4x100 relay, so I don't know if that's good, bad. I don't know what that is. So if y'all run track, help your brother out. But questions on example 1? Good. Questions, problem 1. All right. Problem 2. We have a guest star for problem number. So 29.56, 42.36, paying with 4 $20 bills. How much change will she get back? So are we adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, or is this a combination? So we're adding, multiplying, and subtracting. So we actually are doing all 3. So what 2 numbers are going to get added? $29.56 and $42.36. We're going to add those first. 6 and 6, 12. 1, 5, and 3, 9. 9 and 2, 11. 71.92. Alright, so we get the adding part. What else we gotta do? So we're going to take 71.92 and multiply it times 4 $20 bills. Or are we going to take 4 $20 bills, 4 and multiply it times 20? Well, actually, these are the 2 numbers that you should multiply. So if you're paying with 4 $20 bills, if I hand you 4 $20 bills, how much money did I give you? That's $8. So 4 $20 bills, that's 4 times 20. So that's where the multiplication comes in. Now you want to know how much change you're going to get back. So if I'm trying to make change, What am I doing? Now that's subtraction. So you have $80 minus 71.92. So get rid of this here. So we started by adding them up, and we figured out how much we gave the cashier. Now we're going to actually do the subtraction. So, before I start subtracting, what do I need? What needs to go in this problem? So, I can't start subtracting until I do fix this problem. Okay. I gotta put the 2 zeros, then I gotta put the decimal point. So now let's subtract. Can't take 2 from 0. Can't borrow from a 0. Can't borrow from a 0. So this 8 becomes a 7. The 0 becomes a 10. But that's going to have to become a 9 to make that a 10. That's going to have to become a 9 to make that a 10. I have to borrow from there. So then we solve. 10 minus 2, 8. 9 minus 9, 0. 9 minus 1, 8. 7 minus 7, 0. So $8.08 is how much change you get back. Rest assured, and those people who have ever been a cashier will understand this. At the end of the night, they're going to count your drawer. If you are short, guess who has to make up the difference? You. Your drawer comes up short, they're taking it from somewhere. And since it was on your watch, the chances are it's going to come out of your money. So make sure you know how to do some calculation. Calculators and computers are beautiful things until the batteries go out or the electricity goes out. Then we use that brain. Alright, last example for this wonderful Wednesday in quantitative literacy. Go ahead and read the problem, figure out what we need to do. So, we need to know if it's adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, or a combination. So, what we doing? I need to figure out how much my car is going to cost. Definitely not going to say I can get it for free. Combination problem. Alright, so we're going to be adding and multiplying. So what are we going to multiply? You can keep going. $64.25 is how much the mechanic makes an hour, and he's working for 6 hours. So that is correct. 64.25, so 5 times 6, 30. 2 times 6, 12, plus 3, 15. 4 times 6, 24, plus 1, 25. 6 times 6, 36, 38. So 385, 50 cents. That's how much the mechanic makes. So what else? So I multiply. And now you add the 114 and 60 cents. So that's how much it costs to get this car fixed. I don't know what's wrong with it, but that's how much it's going to cost to get fixed. I remember someone in this class saying that they wanted to do something related to being a mechanic. There's lots of money made to be made from being a mechanic, because people are going to drive, cars going to break down, and people are going to want it fixed because they want their car. So there's money to be made if you know what you're doing. Any questions? Example 3, before we get ready to close up shop. I don't know about Ms. Weishaupt, but I've had my